We are back, everybody, on Santa Clarita's hometown station, AM-1220 KHTS. It's the Gazette Radio Hour with Doug and usually John, but this week it's Robert Patrick Lewis, the author of Love Me When I'm Gone and soon to be released, The Pact. And Robert, you created a fan. Our board op, Peter, has some questions for you. I agree to let him ask them.
Big fan. Thank you, Doug, for letting me get on the mic here for a second. Thank you again for your service. Adjust my levels here. I'm not used to getting on the mic. But, I'm just enthralled everything you're saying. First of all, The Pact, and what was the previous book?
Love Me When I'm Gone was the first one.
Love Me When I'm Gone. Definitely check those out. And your Facebook. Go to the Facebook. Get all the info on this guy, because this isn't Green Beret. Thank you.
It was fun.
So that's why. And you said something earlier. You're dropping a lot of knowledge here that I had no idea about. And I gotta say this. You mentioned that the Army has its own equivalent to the CIA.
Yeah.
And which makes me think of other organizations like the Navy, the Air Force, and how they may have resources to. We're Americans, but these industries sort of compete, right? To have, I don't want to say compete, but they use their resources for what? Like, why would the Army find value in having their own, I guess, intelligence?
Well, they do, and it's funny because we like to think, when you're outside of the military, you think same team, right? Everybody should be the same team, but there's actually an awful lot of kind of fighting against each other, infighting within the military, especially when you get into special operations and when you get into military intelligence, because everything comes down to a budget. Right? And the more that you're perceived as doing, the higher your budget is. And if I'm a commander, a big bullet point on my OER, which is essentially my military resume, is commanded a unit in charge of 10 million, 50 million, 100 million. The more you can raise that, the better it looks, the more promotion points you get for the next promotion. So everybody wants their own thing. So a very famous kind of example of this, there's SOCOM, Special Operations Command. There's USASOC, United States Army Special Operations Command. There's JSOC, Joint Special Operations Command.
Wow.
All these kind of command units, right? So the Marines, very famously, are the Marines. We're the Marines. We don't need anybody else, right? So when Afghanistan kicked off, there was SOCOM, which commanded Special Operations Command. The Marines had recon and force recon, but they didn't want to give up any control to SOCOM. They wanted to control it, right? So I have a lot of friends that were in force recon. Afghanistan happened, they went over there on aircraft carriers and essentially sat out in the bay and in the ocean watching Green Berets go and do hit after hit after hit. These guys had the same training as us. They had a lot of the same experience. They had a lot of the same thing. But because they had given no control to SOCOM, and so the chain of command goes Secretary of Defense, SOCOM. SOCOM goes, this is a SEAL job, this is a Green Beret job, this is a Delta job, this is this. MARSOC, or the Marine Recon and Force Recon, were not anywhere in that chain of command. So they went, okay, sit on a boat, have fun. And so that's, while it should have all been the same team and they should have been
That's efficiency.
Yeah, well, but it's the military. It's commanders fighting against themselves. And the intelligence community is the same. Naval intelligence is a big one.
That's important to understand, I think, as a... Help me out. I'm a civilian. You're a citizen, or is it the other way?
I'm a civilian now.
Well, okay. Well, I think that's important for us to understand more. I mean, me, who has never been in the military, because these people are protecting you, right?
Yeah.
But where do you learn that? No one teaches you that in school. The compartmentalization and the structure hierarchy of people that lose their lives in the name of you pledge allegiance to that flag every morning, but I don't know how it works until I speak to people like you. So I really appreciate you coming in today. So many questions. I'm trying to think. I had another one here about help me understand something with Libya. Mm-hmm. Okay, if I can just open up another giant.
This wasn't in the script.
Peter's never on the script. Yeah. So, now, if I'm correct in understanding, there are certain. You can't. NATO went into Libya. Why?
Why overtly or covertly?
The overtly, because my direct question is, I remember specifically many politicians explaining why it was illegal for Obama to send troops on the ground into Libya, and then the kind of like the liberal defense of it was every president has done this thing where you don't get approval from Congress. and which is something required. And that was a very big, I don't know, I guess a red flag. I don't have a basic understanding of it, so I have a lot of questions. Maybe I'm not voicing it right, but that was a turning point in my understanding of what a sitting president can do to other nations. Well, and that was so there's so much about this world that I don't understand, and I'm trying to learn.
Well, and a lot of it's legalese, So you get a politician that's a lawyer; they're very good with legalese. Vietnam was never officially a war.
Exactly,
it was a police action, right? So Libya was never officially a war. It was not the Libyan War when we went in there. So that's where he kind of goes, well, we'll just call it something else, and I can legally go in and do this.
That's exactly what happens, and it's not so much interesting as it is distressing that legalese is becoming a tool that's. If you have to learn legalese in order to get what you want in certain, not us, but it would seem that people that I depend on to represent me as an American citizen use legalese to get what they want. I don't understand legalese. It's very.
It would to get elected too.
Elected, and a lot of it. A lot of understanding what I see on the news and what I see on the internet and things like that. I already know. Maybe it's because I was born with the internet. I already know that there's a filter that I have to use, and I can't just believe everything you hear and see on TV.
Right.
And I just want to thank you for coming in, because there's just so much knowledge being dropped. Doug, you brought a good guest today.
Thank you, Peter. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Well, we're heading to the end of our time, Robert. So. Again, tell us, folks, about your book, your website, your Facebook, all that stuff.
So the new book, the first book is called Love Me When I'm Gone. It's available on Kindle. You can get, I narrated the audiobook myself, so you can get it on iTunes, and you can get the physical book. It's under Tactical 16 Publishing. The website is lovemewhenimgone.com, and the Facebook page is Love Me When I'm Gone Book. I also have a personal, an author page called Robert Patrick Lewis Author on Facebook. There's a new website going up, robertplewis.com and thepactbook.com, because The Pact will be a 3-book series. So there'll be a lot of background information into pictures and bios and characters and things like that. So you can check out thepactbook.com as well.
And also you look for Robert Patrick Lewis articles in the Santa Clarita Gazette each week. Always good stuff. I always get compliments on it. Hey, where'd you find that guy? Who is that Green Beret dude? Who is he? He's
hidden under a rock somewhere.
Anyway, thanks so much for coming in today. Really appreciate it. I hope we can do it again.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Thanks. We'll be back, folks, on Santa Clarita's hometown station, AM-1220, the Gazette Radio Hour. We are back, folks, on Santa Clarita's hometown station, AM-1220 KHTS. It is the Gazette Radio Hour with Doug and John. John's not with us. Our special co-host, Robert Patrick, had to be on his way. So stepping in is none other than our station manager, Mr. Kyle Jellings. Jellyman?
Can I talk about how little business I have being on this program right now?
Why is that?
You got a Green Beret coming on, and now me?
Yeah, you're worth it.
You're
the Jellyman.
Oh, good heavens. Good heavens.
And with us back, I don't know where he's been all month, but Mr. Sports, are you there?
Normally it's just John. I'm surprised John's not here. It's Doug.
What are you trying to say?
I enjoy having you more than John.
All right.
Oh, that's what we're saying. Okay.
All right, guys. Well, you know the big topic. One thing we're not going to talk about is Deflategate. That's over. I'm done with it. It's
talking about the Puppy Bowl this
Thank
Sunday,
you.
right? The Puppy Bowl 8 with all the puppies that play on Animal Planet, right? Is that what we're talking
you'll have to explain because I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, my goodness. It's the Puppy Bowl.
Why the Puppy Bowl?
Because they just have a bunch of puppies playing together on the Super Bowl because they're not going to compete. Not going to compete with the Super Bowl. Is that what we're talking
The only
about?
puppy I heard about was that GoDaddy.com commercial.
Oh, that is true. That is true.
All right. Well, I have to say this. I have to. I'm sorry. But, we all predicted who was going to be in the Super Bowl way before the season started, the week before, and I'm the only one that got it right.
My goodness. Hold on a second.
New England and Seattle, baby. It was my pick.
Hold on a second. You picked New England, Seattle. You won the
Yes.
and you published the
Yes.
paper.
Yes.
That's weird.
But I have notes to prove it.
We have our own controversy going on over here in the show.
What's that?
We'll call it Douggate. I don't really believe you.
No kidding.
All right, let's get to the game, guys. I mean, to me, it's a toss-up. I think if you're betting on either one of these teams, you're just could be throwing your money away.
I think this is a very evenly matched game. I think what's interesting about this game is, one, you got the dynasty aspect, the beginning of a dynasty with Seattle because it's a very young team, new coach, and all that stuff. But you also have the legacy thing with with Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, because there's a big difference. I know 6 Super Bowls should be celebrated, but there's a big difference between 4-2 in the Super Bowl and 3-3, and those 3 losses come after Spygate. And so there's a big, I think there's
You're going there.
I'm telling you, dude, there's a big legacy thing here because they haven't won a Super Bowl since Spygate. So there's always going to be that cloud over it if they don't win this Super
So
Bowl.
God doesn't like them. Is that what you're
some
saying?
people will put an asterisk.
Go ahead, Mr. Sports.
Some people will be putting an asterisk then if New England wins it, which I don't think is fair.
Look,
No, it's not,
We all
but-
know they could have been using beach balls and they would have killed the Colts.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, but the Spygate thing though, they were filming other teams' practices and stuff.
That was worse.
And
than this.
that was the last Super Bowl they won was, and they found out afterwards.
Mr.
So.
Sports, what's your take on the game?
My take on the game is I'm excited for this both running attacks. I think Marshawn Lynch and Blount will be the keys to the game. That was evident with Eddie Lacy against Seattle, with Green Bay going up 16-0, and I'm still bitter because I had Green Bay and New England.
Get over it, son.
So, but I think Blount can really show how good he is, and he showed that against Indianapolis.
Now, do you think, because Richard Sherman has a bad elbow, is it, or shoulder?
It's a bad elbow and a son on the way.
Oh, and a son on the way. I didn't know that part.
Yes,
I don't know if that hurts him. Well, maybe. I don't know.
Well, there's speculation that if his girlfriend, who is currently in Phoenix, if she goes into labor, he will be missing the Super Bowl.
Oh, you got to be kidding me.
No.
Man,
Look.
I'm okay with that, just so you know.
Are you?
My mother would love that, just so you know.
Look, tell him to have another one later. It's all overrated anyway.
He said if he was a good boy, he would stay inside.
Go. All right, and what's their safety's name? I don't recall his name. He has a bad...
Earl Thomas.
Yes.
He has a bad shoulder.
Is that going to affect the game?
I don't think so. I think both of these guys are running on adrenaline for the past 3 years.
Well, who's covering Gronkowski?
Cam
I think Earl
Chancellor.
Thomas.
Oh, you think so? I think Cam Chandler's the Bam Bam Cam Chancellor is going to be is covering him, and I think that to me is going to be one of the most interesting matchups the entire game, because the Seattle defense has done such a great job against big play tight ends, like against Greg Olsen, against those type of guys. Rodgers had a terrible game for the Green Bay Packers, and so I think that's going to be a fun matchup too, because Gronk is, he's for all intents and purposes, he's the best tight end in the game offensively, and so I think that's going to. And Cam is out of his mind, just aggressive. So I think it's going to be a fun matchup.
It's going to be speed versus strength is what it's going to be.
Was Seattle exposed some of their offensive weaknesses in the game against Green Bay?
I don't think so. I think it was just an off game.
I agree. I think Russell Wilson had a wildly uncharacteristically bad 3.5 quarters, and that last quarter and into overtime, that last 5 minutes and into overtime, you saw what he was capable of, and that's the thing that I'm going to go ahead and say it if you don't mind. I'm picking Seattle to win this game, and I think it's because, one, their defense, and two, I don't think Russell Wilson can have a worse game than he did the last week. So I don't think he has a bad. I think he has a very good game, and I think Seattle wins the game.
Mr. Sports?
I'm the opposite. I think New England wins. I think Brady goes off. I think he picks apart the Seattle secondary.
The one thing that is in the back of my mind is they're so tired of hearing about deflated footballs and how they would not be able to win this without doing it, without cheating or whatever, that they may blow out Seattle. But I still think what's going to end up happening is Russell Wilson's going to have a very good game. And my hope is that Marshawn Lynch gets the MVP and he is forced to do an interview at the podium after the game.
All he'll say was, "I'm just doing this so I don't get fined."
Exactly. That's my hope.
I'm going to piggyback off that, and I'm going to say Russell Wilson has a better game on the ground than through the air.
So there's a prop bet that is, will Russell Wilson have more yards than the national average for gas prices in cents? So that's a prop bet. I'm taking the over. I think he throws for more yards, because the national average right now I think it's like 215 or something like that. I think he throws for more than 215.
Wow.
I agree with that.
Is there a bet on how many times the announcers are going to mention Deflategate?
The over-under is 3.
We can make our own bet. But we don't.
During the game, from kickoff to the end of the game, the over-under is 3.
For mentioning Deflategate.
For mentioning deflated footballs.
I'm taking over.
I'm picking the under. I'm picking the under on that one.
Okay.
I like my odds there because they're gonna run that into the ground during the pregame, and I think they're going to be tired of talking about it. So I think.
All right, so
over.
Kyle, you're picking Seattle, and Mr. Sports, you're picking New England.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Doug, what do you?
I have to go with New England.
Do you have to?
I mean, I am going.
Okay.
But I have no reason to back it. It's just my gut.
It's going to be an interesting thing too.
I think because the way Rodgers was able to, penetrate the defense and pick apart their secondary. Go ahead.
I think an interesting thing you'll see is the Seattle. There's going to be a lot of people that really start to dislike Seattle Seahawks now because they're being so successful. Just like everybody hates the Patriots for that same reason. I think this may be the start of that.
And let me just say, I'm not tied to New England. It was a coin flip for me, but because I had New England in the Super Bowl, I'm taking them.
Okay, are you rooting for Seattle though?
I'm rooting for the Arizona Wildcats.
Oh,
attaboy.
Look at this.
So I'm
University of Phoenix.
I'm really rooting for a close game because I hate blowouts in the Super Bowl. All right, everybody, thanks for listening. Gazette Radio Hour in Santa Cruz, hometown station KHTS. We will talk to you next week.